And welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast. It is beer, metal, swearing, and a sprinkle of vinyl. I, of course, am Nick Cameron of Glacially Musical. I am a little sleepy, so I apologize. Joined by my good friend, always watch your beer when he's around, Klepto Chakas. How we doing today, buddy?
Klepto. That's the thing I have
I'm
not been
sorry, I
accused
couldn't think
of.
of anything. My brain's not working
Maybe
right.
as a child, I stole beers as a child at parties. Maybe a sip of my dad's whiskey. But thievery in general, I find distasteful, like liars
I agree. I was
and
thinking
bullshitters.
I was thinking to myself the whole time, I shouldn't say this, but I couldn't think of anything else. So just gonna head straight on into the beer check.
That's fine.
Got myself a Schlafly, a bit hazy IPA.
Mmm. Nice. A little foamy at the top, but the beer color is very nice.
It's a citrusy IPA, a little hazy. I mean, that's what it's called, a little bit
What is that
hazy.
mug you
So
have? Is that the mug with the puck in it?
yes, it is.
Hilarious. I am drinking a tried and true Oscar Blues Dale's Pale. We've discussed this beer before. Pop
Spectacular.
there. Fantastic.
Also, want to apologize for the darkness of my version if you're watching this on YouTube. But since I've moved into this house, I've been trying a lot harder to get the sound levels and appropriate and all that good stuff. And I have been noticing some reverb in my voice. So this is I'm behind all the jerseys, so hopefully there's a little bit of sound dampening, and that takes care of it. But until then, I'm gonna be a little dark.
Just getting a Frog Brothers vibe from Lost Boys, just like you're in the clubhouse.
Wait a minute, you mean Corey and Corey?
Yeah, the Coreys. Oh, I love
No, Corey
Lost
Haim
Boys. I
was
have a
he was
Lost
the
Boys
younger brother.
patch on my vest. That's right.
Difficulties were technical. Keefy's now going to hold up the beer that he poured that everybody on the YouTubes heard but did not see. Yay, beer!
Dale's Oscar Blues.
Oh, that's right. Keefy doesn't pour them out, so I guess it doesn't matter.
I have acquired a glass, so I will have my glass next week.
This is my Father's Day glass, by the way.
Nice.
My Father's Day present last year. I'm going to hit my vinyl check real quick. I was going to go out to Dead Wax Records on Cherokee Street in the historic Cherokee neighborhood of St. Louis, home of our Little Mexico, and the only place where I know we can get cow tongue tacos in St. Louis. But unfortunately, as we talked about last week, I caught COVID, so I could not go down and pick up their copy of Sawen Initiatum or Samhain. I don't know how Danzig pronounces it, so whatever. But what I could do, and I'm a little ashamed that I did this, but I did it. So I bought a bootleg. You know, it's not like Glenn Danzig has re-released this thing. He owns it. He could drop it anytime he wants, but he'd rather do him singing Elvis. But I haven't listened to it yet. It just showed up today, so I don't know if it sounds good or not, but I love this record. Duncan and I actually did it on the Department of Metal Antiquities.
I was going to say, I seem to remember that. Just checking, my audio's okay, right?
Yo, you're fine. You're fine.
You hear me okay?
Yes, you're fine.
Okay, this is a very weird arrangement, and I don't quite hear myself. I'm tempted to switch to another wire because I don't hear myself well at all, but
you are totally fine. Keefy is uncomfortable.
The technical difficulties abound.
Well, you got a vinyl check for me this week?
I do, but I'm going to have you talk for another minute while I switch wires.
Oh, I have to talk? Awesome. So I've got another record in the mail. Bought a couple last week. And, you know, just I was really disappointed that I couldn't get out this past weekend. As we record this, Record Store Day was last week. Also, for a COVID update, I am out of quarantine. I am healthy. I am fine. If you were worried, do not, thank you for the well wishes I got. I'm going to pretend like I got some.
Well, I gave you some.
I'm kidding. But I had an exceedingly mild case of COVID. The only symptom I have had and still am experiencing is I get tired easily. So I actually am pretty tired today because I couldn't sleep because I was exceptionally dehydrated last night, which I realized was not because of COVID. It was because I did not drink any water during my entire quarantine. I drank beer, soda, coffee, or tea for 5 days straight. No water.
I'm pretty sure beer is not
it's not a hydrator.
It's not really a good hydrator.
No, neither is coffee, tea, or soda. So I feel much better after I drank about 150 ounces of water at the office today. So don't be like me, be smart.
Be smart, everybody. Be smart. Okay. I do I still sound good? I'm futzing with my camera.
You are fine. Quit touching everything.
I can't help it. That's what they told me to stop touching it. I'm a little stressed out, so I'm using my Korn Requiem stress ball. That looks like the album artwork, if you can see it carefully.
Yes, I can see that.
And I just squishy. It should be a little squishier, like a little more sand squishy instead of like hard.
So it should feel like a lady's breast, a big old bag of sand.
A bag of sand. All right. It isn't. Here's my vinyl check. I'm finally
sorry. I apologize. Now I'm going third grade.
No, you're good. I apologize, everybody, and thank you for bearing with these technical difficulties. My vinyl check today is the awesome Blackwater Holy Light Silence and Motion album. I'm a big fan, and this came out last year, and I really love this record. They're about to go on tour to support this record, and I will remove it from the sleeve because it's got a cool thing. It's got this lyric sheet pull out, which would be really cool to get autographed, maybe. And also, it is a beautiful, this is on the Writing Easy label, and you can see the label there. And it's on this gorgeous vinyl, this deep purple.
Nice, nice.
Dusty.
Did you clean that? I can see the grooves.
I haven't. I have not. This is brand new out of the package.
Nice. Should still clean that.
Should still clean it. You're absolutely right.
I actually have a Rolling Stones record, the one that I vinyl checked last week. I still got to clean that son bitch. I ain't done it. I also haven't listened to it. I cleaned like 8 records the day before I got it, so now I don't want to.
Understood. But yeah, this is a shout out to Writing Easy, who always does a really nice job on their vinyl and their merch. And please go see Blackwater Holy Light when you get on tour, kind of psychedelic stoner rock.
Very cool. I listened to, if we're talking about psychedelic stoner rock, I listened to Lucid Child the other night while I was in quarantine. I am still wearing a mask. I have to wear a mask for 5 more days everywhere when I'm around people. So this is my safe space where I can go mask free. I listened to a bunch of records during that time because I'm in the records room. That's where I chose to spend my time. That's where I work from home. That's where I did all my business. And I pulled out a record I hadn't listened to in a long time, so long that it had not even gotten a Mylar inner sleeve yet. And I've had this thing for 2 or 3 years. Lucid Child, a record that came out in 2019, I believe. Really cool. Psychedelic stoner rock, kind of hippie-ish and almost metal and almost not. We'll call it post metal. But anywho, anything we need to talk about this week? Any news or views?
I believe today is Ace Frehley's birthday.
It is Ace Frehley's birthday. Gene 71. Simmons, 71, and he plays like he's 74, but. Gene Simmons actually invited him to come play at the Encores on stage with Kiss at some point. The fans will love it, he said. But here's the problem with Kiss is now makeup is more important than the music they play, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So is he going to get up there in his jeans and cowboy boots, which Ace should never wear cowboy boots. He needs to knock that shit off. Also, Ace has, I'm going to get catty for a minute, if you don't mind. Ace has gotten chubby. And Ace has always been, like in the last 25 years, he's been a little on the chubby side, which is fine. I mean, he's old. I'm getting chubby. I'm old. It's fine. But he slimmed down quite a bit, but he didn't finish. He didn't, because when you become an elder gentleman, such as myself, such as Mr. Freely, you don't lose weight evenly anymore. You first lose weight from your arms, then you lose weight from your legs, then you lose weight from your neck, and then you lose weight from your belly. And Ace kind of stopped before he finished off the belly, but now he looks a little preggers. So I'm kind of wanting to see him in the costume now, to see how this would go, because it would be awful. Other Kiss news: the Vinnie Vincent Creatures Fest, which is at the Nashville Airport Hotel. I'm not kidding. Featuring the aforementioned Ace Frehley and Bruce Kulick and Quiet Riot and Trickster and 1,000 other 80s hair bands that you probably don't remember, or you may remember really, really well if you think Crazy Nights is a great record. But they still haven't sold it out, 850 tickets. And it's a 3-day event in Nashville. Vinnie Vincent does not exactly have a reputation for being Captain Reliability. He is less reliable than I am about coming out, getting on stage for a show than when I say, I'll do that in the morning. I'm only batting about 200 there. I'm trying, but I know. But they showed the tank. Because Creatures Fest is going to be a recreation of the Rio de Janeiro Kiss Creatures of the Night tour, complete with the tank, and which is hysterical to me. And they had all this amazing pyro with it. They have also said they will not be using pyro inside because it'll burn down the building if they use it inside. But it looked cool. I gotta say the tank looked great. I'm still not going. It's in Nashville only. Nashville is a long drive, and I think I'm going to stay home and watch terrible movies, maybe get some extra podcasting in that weekend while my family's in Philadelphia. But yeah, still not going. But I think the greatest thing I saw about Vinnie Vincent and Creatures is he keeps dressing up like Vinnie Vincent from Kiss. At his little shows, he appears in makeup. No costume, just makeup when he's performing or doing Q&A. And so the way somebody put it on the Kiss forum, and I don't remember his name, but it's like you worked at Walmart and you got fired, but you still wear the little blue vest every day when you go shopping to Walmart. And then you put a tag on your vest that says assistant manager. That's what Vinnie Vincent has become.
Oh my gosh, I have no words.
I don't know what you can say. This is the most bizarre. It's just bizarre. It's. I have no other words to describe it. But Ace Frehley is going to be there. So is Bruce Kulick.
If it happens,
it will happen. Vinnie may not happen though. I'm expecting that the whole rest of it's going to happen without Vinnie Vincent. Yeah. At his show, he won't.
And he'll still take a cut, of course.
We'll see how that goes. But anything else this week? Are you ready to dive into this week?
I don't think there's anything else to, news and noteworthy. We did miss Record Store Day. I had to skip it financially this year. Like I said, I'm not the biggest. I love the idea of Record Store Day more than the activity.
Agreed. I think we did an episode on that.
We touched on it briefly when it was announced, and
oh yeah, we did. We went over the titles.
We both have some. Yes, we did. We both have some Record Store Day finds, and I know that I can still go get some record store day things. There were a few that I would have had if I had had my druthers that I would like to have owned. But just right now, I just couldn't pull it off this year. I was gonna try to like pop in to the local shop that I like nearest me, but I just didn't have the time in all my running around yesterday.
I was interested in the Kirk Hammett solo EP
I still am.
until I heard a song from it.
I loved it.
It's not bad. It's just not what I want.
I reviewed it on YouTube if you want to
Oh,
watch
did
it
you?
or link to it.
I will do that. It, like I said, it was just not what I wanted. I wanted.
Yeah. The single is the weakest track. That's a fact.
Okay.
The one they put out. The other tracks are much better and much more in line with what his vision is for the thing. I kind of wish it was a whole album. It's like it's not. It's a little short for me. Like an EP is short. It's meant to be.
Yeah,
short.
I also have an issue. I have a hard time pulling it. If it's an EP, it's got to be $15 or less, or really good. And
I don't know. I can't find a vinyl that's new for $15 or less, but okay.
Yeah, I can. Sorry, I'm good at what I do because I need to
I'm not judging.
need to save $1 on these sometimes.
Fair enough.
But I guess we should move on into it. This week, we are starting the new series on King, Goddamn Diamond, and Merciful Fate of the 90s. Because I am an idiot, I decided we were going to do both bands of the 90s because it is just rapid fire this decade. There's only like 1 year where there's nothing. No, there's no years where there's nothing released. Something is released every year. So to quickly just go over the King Diamond 1990s, just a quick, nothing significant here.
Are we taking for granted that everybody listening knows who King Diamond is, understands King and Merciful Fate's significance?
Should we not do that? Should we explain that?
I think you can if you want to.
All right, we should probably explain it. King Diamond is, of course, one of the elder statesmen in the sheer metal movement, which I don't know what kind of metal it is. I guess for lack of a better term, heavy metal, pagan. I've heard him described as heavy metal, pagan metal, traditional metal, black metal, and today thrash metal. And it's all of those things, but none of them. The closest band I've ever heard to King Diamond would be Huntress. Rest in power, Janice. But nobody has been able, and it was weird because King Diamond was the only one in the band that did any makeup. The whole rest of the band did not wear makeup, which seems weird till you see it live, I guess. Because then I'm just like, all right, whatever. King's in the makeup and nobody else is. Nice top hat.
One of my favorite things ever is Beavis and Butthead watched the King Diamond video, and
that was for the Family Ghost, by the way.
Yeah, the Family Ghost, and Butthead goes. They were like the day before this video, hey guys, let's all wear our scary makeup for the video. And this butt munch is the only one who did it.
And what's great about that video also, he is in a Dracula cape that I am pretty sure he got at a Halloween store the week before they recorded that record. It is like the old-timey Dracula cape where it is black and it's got that collar that just goes up over your head. And he's got giant bouffant hair, and he wears his entire face is covered. It's like 85 to 90% of his face is covered in makeup on every tour, sometimes more, never less. And he still has a fucking mustache.
He does not shave his mustache off. I would say, I think that Family Ghost video is an unironic tribute to Leslie Nielsen's Dracula Dead and Loving It.
You mean an inspiration for? Dead and Loving It was in the late 90s. I could definitely see Leslie Nielsen seeing that and go, you know what, there's a movie here. Because every Merciful Fate or King Diamond video I have ever seen has been a little bit terrible, to be perfectly honest. I also remember a video from one of the albums we're going to do later on in this series. I believe it's from 9, like Witch's Dance or something. and the whole video is Merciful Fate just outside in or like all squished together, and King Diamond has a Rottweiler on a chrome chain, and that's the video. That is the whole video, and I'm looking at it. It's like 6 minutes of that, and it's just like, you guys are cool, but this is not cool. So King Diamond, Merciful Fate, of course, was one of the great inspirations for Metallica. They were close friends in Denmark when after Kill 'Em All was there, they met the King and the rest of the Faders and became good friends, exchanged gear, exchanged studios, all that kind of stuff. And they are still friends to this day. Metallica, on their Garage Inc. record, released a medley of Merciful Fate tunes, primarily from the debut record, but one from the second record, and actually it's on this one of the records we're going to talk about today. And to this day, whenever I listen to that medley, it makes me angry because the production value is so amazing and they play it so well. It is 20 times better than Merciful Fate ever could have been on their best day. And Metallica just does it with such effortless ease. But definitely something to check out.
Arguably, I was thinking about this, that Garage Inc. recording is like the best recording they did sonically for like 20 years, 15, 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Like from Garage Inc. to Hardwired, there is not a good sounding anything Metallica. I don't know why this is.
I would say that Lulu sounds, you may hate it, but Lulu was recorded in a way that I love. It was done live. It was done loose. Okay, so, but yes.
Lamont, get the truck. It's the big one. Elizabeth, I'm coming to see you. Like, why would you bring up Lulu?
Cut me, Mick. Because I like watching you do that. And
you just die a little bit every time.
Well, everybody likes getting a little bit of that little death. Oh, okay. You don't know that phrase. Look it up later. Anyway,
the little slices of death, or no?
No.
Okay.
Just Google it. Anywho, so yes, the Garage Inc. record was their best sonic album, like some of the best production they'd ever had in their entire career. But also, when you compare the fact that on most of their career, they weren't all playing at the same time, so it makes it difficult to actually make it sound good. But so the Fate puts out a couple of records, and then the slowest breakup in the history of music starts. 3/4 of the band then leaves and becomes King Diamond. And then each subsequent album, it seems like one more dude left, until eventually Merciful Fate has morphed into King Diamond. And there is a difference between the two bands, primarily in terms of what instrumentation is used. King Diamond solo uses a lot more keyboards, which I think is awesome because we get that sweet ass harpsichord. So you got that like electric harpsichord. So you got Lurch out there rocking along, things making the horns, I assume, right next to him, while King Diamond is wearing his cape and spinning his little bone cross. He does sing on stage with a cross made of human femurs. Okay, when you say this stuff out loud, it sounds so ridiculous.
It's not supposed to be funny, actually. He really deeply is very serious about everything he does, and I think he's wonderful. But it's not at all supposed to be yuck-inducing. It's supposed to be not hilarious. It is hilarious. It's not ironically funny. It's supposed to be dead serious, which is what makes it funny.
Right. It's like Ronnie James Dio, except times 10. Ronnie James Dio comes out there and he sings these lyrics, these amazing poetic lyrics that mean nothing and make no sense. And he sings them with such conviction and power. You're like, yeah, tigers and rainbows and shit. In fact, I just finished the Tony Iommi biography, and on the Devil You Know record, Tony specifically asked Ronnie not to sing about rainbows. And as Tony put it, Ronnie said, but I always sing about rainbows. Maybe not this time, mate. And so there's no songs about rainbows on that last album. But it's that kind of thing. It is that kind of cheesy metal, because when we get to more extreme versions of metal as time goes on, Carcass, Napalm Death, what have you, it stops being about the plot and the visuals of horror movies, and it becomes more of the visceral fear and terror that horror movies are supposed to induce. Well, that comes off a lot less silly than dudes pushing elderly women on stage in wheelchairs playing the harpsichord. It comes off a little silly, but King Diamond is still a true gem. He is an American national treasure, as he lives in Texas now for some reason. Unfortunately, and we are very lucky still to have him walking on the face of the earth. He had 5 consecutive heart attacks after recording his last album, Give Me Your Soul, Please, which I would say is an underrated gem in the catalog. And there was no tour, never played anything live from it, even on the tours he did back in 2014, 2013, 2015. And as we are recording this, we are gearing up for a Merciful Fate reunion, which is a reunion of the final lineup, the Merciful Fate reunion actually kind of mirrors the King Diamond Merciful Fate switch off. Same thing, it starts off with everybody but the drummer, and then each album they just start parting off. So basically, the only difference now between King Diamond and Merciful Fate is who the main lead guitarist is. Mike Weed is in both of them, but Andy LaRocque is not. So if you see Andy, it's King Diamond. If you see Michael Denner and Hank Sherman, it's Merciful Fate.
That is a fantastic analysis. And I will say Andy LaRocque is a treasure. We'll talk a lot about
Yes,
him.
he is.
I'm sure he is a treasure. He is on par with Denner and Sherman, the great Merciful Fate guitar players.
Way better. In my humble opinion. I enjoy him more.
I will say this. I say personally, Merciful Fate is heavier and truer traditional metal.
Agreed.
And King uses his music under his own banner to be honestly more progressive. And just like you think it means, in his mind, I think he's doing sort of the horror, thrash, and heavy metal version of Dream Theater. Not that technical, but that kind of vision.
Oh, definitely.
The scope of whatever's, anything is possible. And all these things service, all these great songs, and they are mostly great, service, not all of them, but a lot of them, service King's, the best thing about King Diamond, I know people will remember the face and the bone cross and the makeup and the themes.
If you can forget the bone cross, I don't want to know you.
And the atmosphere, but King Diamond is one of the greatest storytellers ever in music, let alone rock and metal.
Completely agree with that.
I think what's going to be fun about this run is the story. Like there's so much depth in these stories. They're so wonderfully thought out. Even the things that are based on existing content and canon horror content. He really cares about that you understand the story like he wants you to. And it's very rare, honestly. NIB, you can understand it in 5 minutes is in a nutshell. It's very catchy. It's very repetitive. A demon or devil seduces a young lass and falls in love with her and wants to, bring him into his service, for lack of a better vernacular. And it's over. It's over, and that's it. That's the whole story. But there's so many layers and depths. Like King Diamond is almost the Tolkien or the George R.R. Martin of metal storytelling. Like there's
and some of the songs that he writes are as long as a Tolkien novel.
So,
or at least as long as these fucking movies.
With all the same endings, all the fake out endings.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of props. I'm pretty stoked on this. I am curious as to why we chose the compilation record today. I never questioned it because I trust you fully. And then listening back,
I can tell you why. Here's why.
Tell me why when we get to it. When we get to it. Okay. But I was like, why are we doing this one? But okay, that's fine. I trust you fully, Nicholas. And that's
look. It is an odd choice. I'll give it to you, but there is a reason.
I'm sure there's a reason.
There's
I have
two
a gut
reasons.
feeling. I know why. But yeah, let's dive in whenever you're ready, unless you have any other table setting type information to share.
Not a whole lot. I will just say that personally, I got into King Diamond around 1992, 1993, when the reunion was happening. My cousin Alex introduced me to them. For a long time, I could not discern King Diamond from Iron Maiden, which should give you the kind of idea, the scope of the vocal acrobatics, the scope of the lyrics, and the scope of the music as well. Iron Maiden is exceedingly progressive. I think the King Diamond method is a similar method, but a different dish.
Fair enough. I got into King Diamond and Merciful Fate probably about the same exact time, about the time Abigail came out in '87. I was just on the cusp of high school at that age, a very tumultuous time in the life of Keefy. And Abigail and Them and Conspiracy are 1, 2, 3 back to back, brilliant. And then I kind of backtracked into Melissa and Don't Break the Oath and such. And probably again in my lifetime, we've had much more King Diamond than Merciful Fate, just over the course, much more King Diamond solo life, touring, everything. I saw Merciful Fate on the sort of quasi reunion in the 90s. And I remember they like very heavily focused on those 90s records. And I was like, I didn't enjoy this as much. Then I saw King solo and he played all the greatest hits and his own stuff. And I was like, I love this. So I'm dying to see Merciful Fate. I have not seen them since, I'm going to say 94, 95. And
I have never seen Merciful Fate. So if you see me on Facebook or Twitter doing one of those things that says, here's one of these bands I haven't seen, it's Merciful Fate.
Yeah, no worries. And the only date on that Merciful Fate World Tour that's coming up in America is Psycho Las Vegas. So it's a very slim chance that I'll get to go to that, even though it's on my coast. And as much as I would love to go, does not know if it's in the cards for me to go. And I would love to go I would go just for Merciful Fate. That's how much would love to see them. I would go just for them.
I would probably, if I was nearby, I would probably brave a festival, which I have sworn off festivals for the rest of my life because I'm just too old for them now. And which is why I'm not going to Creatures Fest. Well, that's one of the 15 reasons I can think of that I'm not going to Creatures Fest. But also, I don't care about Vinnie Vincent. I mean, his music is awful. But I would probably brave it if it were in the Midwest. If it were in Chicago, I'd probably go just to see Merciful Fate finally. But I
am certain when they come back, it'll be with supposedly King and Merciful Fate have new albums in the works. King's is further along and closer to being done. And
don't see him doing a double duty tour ever again.
No, I don't think he could do it. I don't think he could
Right.
do it. I think it would be too much for him. It would drain him. And I think it would not be as enjoyable for the bands, not the fans. We would love that shit. But I think the bands themselves would probably not enjoy the
only way they could do it is if it was like the first Ozzy Sabbath tour, where it was half Ozzy, half Sabbath with largely the same band.
Union, except for King Diamond. Yes, Union. How bad? That would be terrible. Actually, I really wouldn't enjoy that. I think we'll get a King Diamond album, we'll get a King Diamond tour, we'll get a Merciful Fate album, and a full Merciful Fate tour. I think in America that won't happen until 2023, 2024.
Well, I plan on living that long, so I cannot wait.
Same, brother.
But let's talk a little bit about the Eye.
Yeah, let's.
True story. Last thing, and this actually works. So I backed into King Diamond and Merciful Fate completely. I got into both of these bands, or band, or whatever you want to call it, in the 90s, and I started on the 90s. My first King Diamond record that I owned was The Spider's Lullaby. My first Merciful Fate album that I owned was In the Shadows, which we'll talk about next week. Then Dangerous Meeting, which is the greatest hits of both of them. Although that's that weird Velcro breakup thing. That's an odd album. And I only heard the Eye in 2020 for the first time when I purchased it on vinyl, because that's when a lot of the Metal Blade has been doing a lot of represses on these, even though Metal Blade didn't have any King Diamond or Merciful Fate until In the Shadows. Up to In the Shadows, it was all Roadrunner records. But apparently they have the money to buy them all. So they've got them. They've been doing represses. I have a black 180 gram copy of The Eye. It is not an OG copy. And recently I picked up a copy of Return of the Vampire European Smoke and Translucent Blue vinyl. Another one of the reasons why we did that one.
Okay, sounds gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. And so The Eye is something I've only heard maybe 10 times. It is not like Return of the Vampire, which I've had on CD 3 or 4 times, plus my now vinyl copy of it. So I didn't know this was a concept album. I assumed it was. I was doing a lot more reading and listening through that the story really comes out. And this album is about the Spanish Inquisition. Why?
Nobody
expects the Spanish Inquisition.
It's a callback to our earlier series on
Monty Python. Yeah. We did a run on Monty Python records. No movies, no shows, records. Because that made sense.
What is wrong with us? And
a lot. But this album, it's a really cool story. It starts off with somebody finding a necklace, and that necklace takes this person back to the time of the Inquisition. Now, in fairness, this is the French Inquisition, not the Spanish Inquisition. But I mean, Inquisition's an Inquisition. They're all fanatical devotion to the Pope. Nobody expects them. And they've all got nice red uniforms. So
I'm dying over here.
Sacre bleu. Nobody expects the French Inquisition. Oh, didn't work. Okay, trying to get Keefy to laugh.
You got me to stop laughing.
Okay.
Sobered me right up like a judge. Yeah, it's a marvelous concept just in and of itself. If I told you I was anyone of any stripe was making a record with this entire concept, were very well thought out, you would be like, I'm into it. This would be a great Netflix movie. Like, there's elements of true crime in here. Before we knew what true crime was. And
yeah, a lot of the characters are based off real people.
Yes, actual stories that happened. So he must have read about this somewhere. And I would say, just before we go into it, I will say that I probably have not listened to this album or some of these albums in 30 years. I listen to Mercyful Fate much more than I listen to solo King Diamond unless I'm going to a show. I did see King Diamond 2 years ago in Brooklyn, which was marvelous, including...
I saw him last in 2014 on the Comeback Tour, which was a phenomenal tour. My only complaint was he didn't choose the right Merciful Fate tunes to play.
Well, now he had to come back from the comeback because of his heart issues and back issues. We didn't talk about that. He has.
Oh yeah, the back surgeries. Yeah,
back and neck surgeries.
We're again lucky that he's still kicking.
Yeah, he's good. We're lucky to still have him. He's in great shape now. Apparently, he's doing very well with his wellness, and it takes a lot of work, diet and exercise. But yeah, so The Eye is really terrific. Like I was like, I forgot how good this record is actually, because I was, like a lot of metal has happened to me since 32 years. And I was like, I really haven't listened to this guy in a long time, except maybe a song here and there.
Agreed. And, and for most of it, the songs I know well, of course, Eye of the Witch. We all know that one. That's been on every greatest hits album that's come out. That has been on every live album that he's done, except for Abigail in Concert, which we're not going to talk about because honestly it kind of sucks. But it was on Deadly Lullabies. It was also on the Puppet Master live album. Then the name of it I cannot remember at this point, even though I absolutely love it. But yeah, so then it moves on into The Trial, which is, and Burn is another one I know really well. Burn, it sounds like the song that Rob Zombie heard and went, you know what? That could be a song. That could be a Rob Zombie song. That's Burn song. That din, 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 din. I think that became Dracula, but that's just my opinion.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, it totally is. The rest of it, I would say there's not a whole lot of songs that really made it into the King Diamond canon. It's not like there's a Sleepless Nights or a Family Ghost or, you know, the Blood to Walk or the Puppet Master, which songs that really pop out of the story. So apart from, I would say, those two songs, this is an album best served as a complete meal. You know, that's one of the things about concept records like the kind that Coheed and Cambria make all the time. Quite honestly, you don't need that. You can just listen to a track. You could, or if you are in love with the Afterman, like myself, you don't have to listen to them back to back. It's fine. This is something that you're only getting if you would only listen to the first side of this or the first couple of songs, you're going to get an appetizer and you're going to need more of it. And that's how good of a record it is. Even 32 years after the fact, this album still sounds contemporary. Andy LaRocque on his guitars did not ever do anything tone-wise or technique-wise that was in vogue that week. He has a classic tone, he has a classic technique, and he has a classic kind of songwriting. And which makes every King Diamond album, as silly as though they may be a bit, they still sound and feel as good today and as fresh today as it did in 1990.
No disagreement here on that. I concur.
And also, for the record, track 6, Father Picard, is not about Jean-Luc Picard.
You stole my thunder, but yes, you are correct.
I'm sorry, I'm a thunder stealer.
No,
just call me
it's
Thor.
you.
I'm sorry, you can just call me Loki.
Indeed.
Want to do a track by track on this, or how you want to do this?
Let's do the track by track. We have blathered on enough about this.
All righty. Eye of the Witch, amazing song. Again, King Diamond canon. One of those songs where you really get the width and breadth of the King Diamond vocal ability. He sings the high falsettos, he sings low growls, and it's all over the place. It is a very haunting song.
This is arguably for a fantastic. I'm gonna give me a bare minute, second. I'm gonna plug the phone in. All right, this is a fantastic track. There's just everything's going wrong today. Phone was about to die. This is a fantastic opening track, and I would put this on par with any solo King Diamond album opener.
Agreed.
I absolutely love the song. Phenomenally written, great riff. Great voice. The vocals, I mean, I know you always correct me and say, well, saying that King Diamond, saying Mike Patton's vocals are great is like saying they're great on every song. King Diamond just tears this shit up on the very first song. The King showed up to play. It is performed, written, and recorded impeccably.
Yeah, if you can find a complaint about this song, you will just never like King Diamond.
Fair.
Moving on into the trial, not bad. It's definitely a drop off, but I mean, it was always going to be. The issue I have with this one is you have that King Diamond voice where he talks like this, where he tries to get this stern, scary voice, and it would be better if he wasn't Danish.
Ouch.
I've never heard a Dane speak menacingly.
I have. I've
and
been
convincingly.
To and I
haven't been to Denmark. You can just hire a dude. But get that dude that did the Motley Crue voiceover for Shout at the Devil. That guy could have done it. He would have done it awesome. That's my complaint.
I like that he got into character. He didn't quite execute it perfectly. It does move the story along.
Yes, it moves the story, and that's what matters. Moving on into the next story, next chapter, which is Burn. Now, this is a very common theme in terms of heavy metal and occult metal and whatever. Songs about burning witches. Metallica covered Diamond Heads, Am I Evil? My Mother Was a Witch. I Saw Her Burned Alive. So it's very well-worn territory. There's no breaking on it, no blazing a new path on this one. but the riff on this one, he could have sung about tigers on rainbows with that riff.
That's Ronnie's job.
Oh, that is Ronnie's job. I'm sorry. No, not tigers.
Literally, you just literally name like this could be a Rainbow or a Dio song. Tigers on rainbows.
Okay, it could be a tiger putting rainbow stickers on the wall. No, that's not working. Never mind. You go ahead.
Burn, again, continuing the theme. Killer. It is a stock King Diamond song, but it is a solid King Diamond song.
If you've seen King Diamond live, you've heard this tune.
He plays it all the time. Played it when I saw him. I was pumped.
Agreed. Same. Moving on to Two Little Girls, which that one is about finding the ashes, I believe. It's another one of this is a mood song. If this album was spending a night at my cousin's basement back in the 90s, this song would be the lighting of the incense, just to set the tone and get a little creepy, and it makes ash. So I mean, it all works together.
Yeah, and it's shorter on purpose. It's a little segue hop to another leg of the album, if you will, another chapter, page turn.
Right. Then we move on to Into the Convent. I don't remember this one real well.
Oh, this is a banger.
Go ahead. Take it.
No, I love this one. Let's talk about Snowy Shaw, who doesn't get enough credit or like props in the whole world of metal. Phenomenal career, has guested on everybody's records, and kills it on this. He co-wrote this song with Andy and King, and Into the Convent is, again, furthers the story. One of the main characters is Madeline Bavent. Sorry if I've mispronounced that. And the only class I have ever flunked in, two classes I ever flunked in my whole life, calculus and French, and I only flunked French for a technicality, not because I couldn't learn it, but I didn't last long. And excuses, Keefy. And yeah, it's a banger. It's a straight up banger. It's a good track.
I agreed about Snowy Shaw. He is the one, I believe, he ends up in Mercyful Fate as well. Again, it's the Velcro breakup and the Velcro whatever, the reunion, I guess. I mean, it's just a weird situation. It's like Black Sabbath and Ozzy and Dio, where they're all swapping dudes out.
Fair. Or Rob Zombie and Ozzy when they're swapping dudes out. And Manson and Ozzy when they were, and Rob Zombie when they were swapping dudes out.
The last time I saw Rob Zombie, there could have been a 2005 Marilyn Manson reunion.
Fair enough. I mean, maybe the one thing that he hasn't accomplished yet is John 5 needs to play with Ozzy. I think he's on the new Ozzy record, actually. So that may be a bucket list scratch off for him. Let's also just say that Snowy Shaw missed his calling because he could have been Joe Exotic in a Joe Exotic movie, because he has a strangely frosted dew and a very dark facial hair.
Also, he is taking the place of Mickey D,
who went to Motorhead.
Yeah, he quit King Diamond to spend more time with his family, only to join Motorhead a couple years later.
Debatable about whether that was more lucrative or not. It might have been.
Probably. I would imagine it would have been more lucrative because Motorhead is a bigger name. Motorhead toured all the time.
I feel like Motorhead didn't start making that money, though, until they sold a lot of records, but didn't make the money until later.
Yeah, when Mackie D was there.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was him and Phil Campbell and Lemmy out there just getting in the Volkswagen Bug and going to the next town.
Can't imagine Lemmy in a Volkswagen Bug. Oh my God.
Yeah, agreed. Father Picard, another one. So we're in the soft middle section of the record, and this one I believe is about some things I don't like talking about. Reasons why I don't watch Game of Thrones, as it were. And there is trigger warning. There is a lot about sexual assault in this album, because
this whole album is replete with terribleness
Yeah.
and based in reality, but fantasized and not like glorified at all.
Dramatized. Let's use the word dramatized.
Very well done. Very well done. Dramatized, not glorified, dramatized. And yeah, man, it's ugliness.
It is. And then we go into behind these walls, which continuing the story, same kind of stuff that's just ew. The meetings. Now are we really witches? Whatever. If I'm going too fast, if you want to jump in, just drop it like
No.
Todd.
These are the two least favorite songs of mine on here.
Yeah,
They're not they're not bad, but they're just not memorable.
I'm
They don't
sorry.
stand out.
This album is like Mitch Hedberg comedy, man. It starts strong and it finishes strong. It's also a lot like pancakes. You get to the middle and you're all sick of them.
But you also said it, and it was kind of my segue. Is this ending of this album is as good as I said the Eye of the Witch song is to open this record, along with any King Diamond record. This little suite that closes the record.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Insanity is an amazing instrumental. It is an interlude. It is we're past the trial where she's a witch and taken care of, and now LaRock plays her grief. And I actually had an idea similar to this to make a concept album, a stoner metal concept record about the ramen burger. It would have been instrumental. It would have been avant-garde. If anybody wants to steal it, you're more than welcome. I'll start you. It was going to be each part of the burger was going to be a different style. I will start you off with the ramen bun, and you got to end with the ramen bun. It's kind of like Shine On You Crazy Diamond. You got to bookend it with Shine On You. You need to bust out your orange amplifier for this one. This has got to be true stoner metal in the vein of Jimi Hendrix with the vibrato, with the swirl to get that ramen curl on the bun. But Andy LaRock actually did it and did it well. Not about ramen burgers, but that kind of thing.
I got nothing. There's nothing I can add to that.
I do that a lot. On to 1642 imprisonment. The witches are guilty. They are now in prison. And then we move on into the curse. And I'm going to let you finish this one out.
Yeah, man, the curse is a very strong closer. Again, King with the sole writing credit. He only plays keyboards, so I guess he hummed the riff to them.
But he plays guitar and he plays bass. He played bass and guitar bands.
He's not credited on this.
Not on King Diamond records or Merciful Fate records, but he can play them. Yeah. He can write them.
Okay. Kind of like Jamie Josta. I just compared King Diamond to Jamie Josta.
I would have said kind of like Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
Who Ronnie James Dio, when he wrote with Tony, I just finished Heaven and Hell. I finally read Heaven and Hell. It only took me 15 years to get to it, but I finished it. Where
well done.
Their writing sessions, they would be both playing guitar or Ronnie would play bass. During the Heaven and Hell sessions, Geezer overdubbed his bass parts over Ronnie. They erased Ronnie's bass parts and overdubbed Geezer's. So
that's how it goes.
That's how it should be, but
yeah, the curse rules. Very strong closer. Overall, as a concept record, this holds up tremendously. Like I said, this album is better than I remembered.
Agreed.
I have not listened to some of these in quite a long time. Maybe when it first came out, I would listen a few times.
The thing about King Diamond, his concept records, if you don't mind me jumping in, I apologize.
Yeah, jump in.
It's like Led Zeppelin live records, man. It's something they're long and you've got to sit down and you've got to be able to give it your full attention. And it's not something you're going to bust out every day. It's a tougher listen than Led Zeppelin 3 or stuff like that. It's like listening to The Wall. The Wall is a tough, rough listen, and you got to sit down and you got to take every slap that Roger gives you. That's how these King Diamond records are. I really like the fact that he did not cast himself as the main character again. Yeah, which, if you look at his concept albums at this time, if you consider the 1990s part of the 80s, which typically we would, but except for this week, he has 4, right? 2 of them have really interesting stories, which he does not cast himself as the lead. And he has 2 kind of dumb stories where he casts himself as the lead.
I didn't think I was going to laugh this much today.
You tell me that Them is a good story.
Them is my shit, though. I love that record.
I love the record. Tell me it's a good story.
Or tell me that cover, great album.
Oh yeah, tell me that Conspiracy is a good story. Basically, it's I don't want my mom dating anybody. There's the story.
Kind of. It is interesting that this is one of the few records where he's the narrator and not in the story. But I think maybe it's such a gross story that he didn't want to characterize one of the characters.
He did. We're going to talk at a record we're going to talk about later. In the Graveyard, he did cast himself as the. I don't know if that's pro or antagonist. We'll get to that. But he also put a big warning.
Antagonist.
He's a protagonist. But he put a big warning in the note saying, "Obviously, this is a story. Do not do this." Actually, I'll read that when we get to it. But
you should. You should.
This is a great capper to the first chapter of the King Diamond story, and the King Diamond as an act story, because he moves away from what Mercyful Fate was. Now we're gonna segue into Return of the Vampire.
Before we do,
go ahead.
Can I just interject one last thing?
Of course.
I guess in part and parcel because King and Andy are so dominant as people and performers and artists, so we really didn't talk about Pete Black, Hal Patino, or Roberto Falco at all, the producer. They all did contribute a lot on this record.
Agreed.
And on this era of records. I know Hal was kind of dismissed from the band.
But Hal, he kept coming back.
Yeah, he's a glutton for punishment.
He must love it, or he needs to eat. And King Diamond's got a job that he can have. I mean, look, it's. Oh, okay. I don't know if you're. Anyway, it's rough out there in the music industry, especially if you're a touring musician, and
right.
Sometimes you just got to take that. You just got to take it. And
what
I would imagine if King Diamond's abusing you, you'd probably laugh about it later because he's so little.
Yeah. What about, so this, just 2 last things. So this album was recorded at Sweet Silence, infamous Denmark recording studio where a lot of great records are made. And then just kind of like where, I'm trying to like, do we want to do this, the tier at the end, or do we want to do the tier week by week? Where is this album in all the Mercyful Fate King Diamond records? In the middle, to the bottom, it's not quite the top, but it's definitely not the bottom either.
I would put it at the, if we're talking about a scale of 1 to 10, 1's top tier, 10's bottom tier, this is in the number 3 tier.
Wait, come again with that rating?
Number 1 is top.
Okay. And
number 10 is the bottom tier. So okay. this would be on the 3rd tier.
That is backwards how I would do it, but I understand what you mean.
I do things backwards because it confuses people. That's just how I think. Most likely that first one, that second one.
Color E, confused.
Fair enough. It is. I'm seeing the tiers as bigger than just like 1 through 5. If it's a 5 tier, it's number 2. If it's, it's at the top of the 2nd tier.
Oh, yes, I'm bored today.
Yeah.
I'm not drunk or bored. I'm just tired.
I am tired because I have not slept this week. So right. I am yelling and screaming and laughing and drinking in order to stay awake.
I get it.
All right. Now, Return of the Vampire. This one, I love this one, for the record. This one comes out in May of 1992. Mercyful Fate at this point in time had been dead and buried for 8 years. And all of a sudden, this new album comes out. Is it a compilation album? Yes. Is it a greatest hits? No, because everything on here was from previous demos. In fact, most of this album was recorded including a man named Benny Peterson. I didn't know that until today. I have had this album since 1997. And I'm like, who the hell's Benny Peterson? Is that a pseudonym for Kim Bendix? No. It was the other guitar player who's not, is it Denner?
Denner.
Who's not Denner.
The guy they got rid of.
Yeah, let's see here. King Diamond is vocals. Hank Sherman plays guitar and bass on number 9. Benny Peterson is tracks 1 through 6. It's 9 tracks, by the way. Timmy Hansen is bass except track 9. Michael Denner is guitar only on 7 and 8. So the classic Merciful Fate lineup is only on 2 of these songs.
Right. Rest in peace, Timmy, by the way.
He was a hell of a bass player. And this was so it's interesting to me because I don't know that there was a lot of clamoring for a Merciful Fate reunion. The King Diamond Merciful Fate split is one of those musical splits where everybody looks to it like, I could be that guy who went solo, not Ace Frehley who went solo, playing for 250 people, sometimes at car lots for free. And he split in the right way. He did it perfectly. So I don't know that anybody, and it's kind of like the Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath split as well, where it's similar but different. And that's what the King Diamond catalog versus the Merciful Fate catalog, similar but different. So all of a sudden, King Diamond drops this album. All of the liner notes are written by the King himself. He signs off satanic regards. So he does remember Satan, because King Diamond doesn't sing about Satan. Merciful Fate sings about Satan. So he tells like little stories about each song, about how they were in a graveyard recording, and who was it that was running? Was it you, Timmy? Kind of thing. And I mean, so all of a sudden he's got this fondness for the old days. And then we'll get to more of that next week. So I love the way they did this by releasing something that was different, not by putting, I mean, only Ace Frehley has got greatest hits when he's only got 2 records. I'm sorry, 3. There's 3 Ace Frehley albums and he has 2 greatest hits. Work that before the newer ones. Work that math out. That math does not work out. But he did it. Well, actually, John Regan did it because apparently Ace owed him money. So anyway, so they put out this cool stuff, and Burning the Cross starts off. And I don't believe Burning the Cross is on any other album. I think that is only on this one. If you give me,
it's heavy.
It's also 8 minutes long, which Merciful Fate tended to be a lot long. Even though King Diamond is more progressive, Merciful Fate tends to be longer.
I mean, this is a song from 40 years ago, and it's like almost 9 minute long progressive heavy metal song. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this one is only on this album. So you've got nearly 9 minutes of King Diamond's Evil only here. So that's a great track to put onto something like this. And then we move on to Curse of the Pharaohs. Hey, don't touch. Never ever steal unless you're in for the kill. Sorry. Then
I'd love to see you die. Who hasn't sang that at the top of their lungs in the shower?
I have personally sung that song everywhere I have ever been. When I look for new houses, that's what I sang. I sang Curse of the Pharaohs, just in case there were witches. If there were witches, they would come out, we could be cool, whatever, or I could banish them. Great song, great vocals, great riffs. I mean, it's that kind of, it's like a guitar riff that sounds like those old reel-to-reel Super 8 movie projectors. That whirling kind of stuff. Then we move on to Return of the Vampire. What do you think about this one?
Gave this album its name. Again, another riff fest, a lot of riffs. Considering they were written by a guy nobody knows. They definitely had
Benny
the style
Peterson,
down.
Big Ben.
Yeah, they had the style down.
That's actually a really good point, because this song is later released in the Shadows with Lars Ulrich on drums. And the only difference is just that it was Lars Ulrich on drums.
Right. Lars probably had all the demos. He's Danish. He loves King Diamond, yada, yada, yada. Everybody knows.
What did you think of the story in this song?
It's a good song. It's a good story. I like, again, it's like the nascent King Diamond. Like, he always was a storyteller, right? That's what I tried to get across earlier, is that he was always fully formed, as maybe they didn't always land, but in his intent was pure for his lyricism.
I would agree with that. I would just say that this story is a lot less of a story and far more of an outline.
It is a demo.
No, it's the same lyrics that's on in the version on In the Shadows.
I understand.
But then we move on to On a Night of a Full Moon. Oh, I wonder what's happening on a full moon night. Richard Nixon is out stealing candy. Yes, this is, of course, a song about werewolves. It's 6 minutes and 40 seconds long. I mean, they are not slowing down. They are not shortening this stuff. There's no shortening here. This is just straight up yeast, and the bread is rising as far as they can get it to go. Interesting to point out, and we'll talk about it more on the next track, these songs were not overdubbed. There was little to no overdubs. These songs were played live in the studio. Because they didn't have the money. These are all demos from pre the EP, which I've actually never heard. And so they're paying for these things themselves, and these things are recorded all over the place. Tracks 1 through 5 are in Copenhagen. Track 6 is in Hull, England. 7 and 8 are in Copenhagen. So is 9, but they're in all different places. Night of the Full Moon ends up becoming Desecration of Souls on the Don't Break the Oath album.
Which is killer.
Yes. So it's
finished product is in that case better than here, but
and I think the finished products of most of these are better than these versions. Although these versions, and I'm not the kind of person who really is into demos more often than not. Like, I haven't even, apart from the rough mix ones, I haven't listened to the demos of the Metallica records, the Metallica box that I have, because I'm just not. Why do I want to hear one that's not finished? I mean, these are all finished. They're just not done, if that makes sense.
Right. It does.
Then we move on to, in my humble opinion, the jewel of this record, A Corpse Without Soul.
I agree. Definitely far the best song on here. But yeah, I think it's also fantastic. Another 8 minutes again.
But it was supposed to be 10.
Was it?
Yes. So as I pointed out on the last track, recording these live, they can't play it. One of them screws it up. So they got to start over every time. They finally get through the whole thing. And apparently there's 5 minutes of guitar whittly niddlies, twiddly widdly everythings. And they get out and they're like chest bumping like football players and high fiving. And they're Danish and they're football players, just to clarify. So they're probably doing these major celebrations where they're rolling bowling pins at each other and they're all falling down like it's a bowling ball. And then the guy's like, I missed the last 2 minutes of that. The tape ran out.
Oh my God, probably. Oh well, it's killer though.
There was some anger, but I thought that the sense. I don't know that I need another 2 minutes of guitar solo at the end of that track, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because there's 3 minutes of solo up to that point. But did you ever notice? I don't know how well you know this version compared to the Don't Break the Oath version. On Garage Inc., James sings this version and not the Don't Break the Oath version.
Yes.
Because it's listen, listen, listen. But on this version, it's listen, 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 listen. And that's what James does. Sorry, I apologize for my barking.
That's great. I would say if you're a completist, this is worth having just for this track.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, I think this is the best thing on here.
I completely agree, and unfortunately, this ends the portion of the podcast where I'm complimentary about this record.
Yeah, it's definitely a nosedive from here on down, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Well, go ahead. You take over the back half. I don't want to say anything.
Oh, joy! Death's Kiss, thumbs down is not good.
That actually becomes that ends up becoming a dangerous meeting, though.
Yeah, but
so they take this thing and make it great.
What it is here is not good.
No, it gets worse though.
It does get worse. Leave My Soul Alone and MDA, Mission, Destroy Aliens, which sounds like it should rule. These songs are also not good, to be polite. They come from Jenner's pre-Mercyful Fate band, and they are not. I mean, Leave My Soul Alone.
No, do not even try. Leave My Soul Alone is a failure.
It's not the worst thing I've ever heard, but it's not.
It's the worst thing on this album.
It is the worst thing. It's the second worst thing on this album because Death Kiss is terrible. Leave My Soul Alone is bad, but not totally terrible.
Okay. The cops are coming because I killed a friend.
Right.
Making love to my girl.
I feel like this came up once before with us, either on a podcast or something. We were talking about what is the worst one song by any band that you love, and you mentioned this. So
I could see where I would have done that because
you were like, this is the worst recorded song with a band I like's name on it. And again, why are these on here? I would say this, like probably in part and parcel of Roadrunner having King Diamond as a band on their roster, for them to get possession of these demos from King.
And this is the last. So I'm sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
No, go ahead. You started.
This is the last Roadrunner release.
Yeah, and probably also to satisfy, on one hand, Roadrunner thinking with dollar signs, this is a good idea to have a demos album, the King of Merciful Fate songs. This will be good to put out. But this also probably contractually satisfies King Diamond on the label so he can leave.
Very good point.
He does post haste. This is done all the time in the music business, by the way. It'll give you something you can have. We won't take much for it, and we're out of our contract, right? Sure.
Yeah, even the next Merciful Fate record next year is on Metal Blade Records.
Yeah, of course, which they have been on ever since, by the way. And fittingly so. They've taken very good care of them. And then you asked for it. Also terrible. So I don't know.
Did not ask for this.
I asked for none of this. What did I do to deserve this? This isn't good. And again, a diehard fan wants this record for Burning the Cross, Curse of the Pharaohs demo, Return of the Vampire.
I mean, honestly, if you left out the last three songs,
this should have been an EP. Like this meeting could have been an email. This phone call should have been a podcast. This demo album should have been just an EP.
I disagree because the first 5 songs you've got. Let's see. You got 17, 24. You got 32 minutes of music in the first 5 tracks. You can call that an album. People do.
Almost. And in 1992, this would still be an album, yeah. And
then if you could have made one of those other 4 songs not terrible.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, I don't know why. Maybe it's to just get them points on the record or get them, well,
it also could be to get
royalties.
To get more money for Denner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why these songs are on here.
I mean, specifically for Michael Denner, because those are the ones he's on.
Yeah, those last couple of ones is just to get him. Do you have anything laying around we could put out? This shit sucks. It sucks so bad. It's embarrassing. I love the album cover, and I love those couple of songs. This is why I was like, why are we doing this one? But I understand why. I was convinced you were going to pull out the vinyl.
That was part of it, but we're doing this one because, if it's like Led Zeppelin, right? Whenever Jimmy Page and Robert Plant are seen in the same state in the same month, everybody starts screaming about reunion stuff without, a release or anything. And here we have the first new Mercyful Fate tunes in 8 years. There are five tracks on this, 6 tracks that are completely unreleased. So half of it's unreleased, half of it is released or reformed, like Death's Kiss becomes Black Masses.
Yeah, completists will want this, but like in its form here, not worth having.
I disagree.
I do love the album cover though.
I do too. It's a great 3-color cover. You've got it's a really cool picture of a vampire.
Nice.
Oh my God, where did this come from? It's got a cool picture of a vampire. He's got teeth. He's got blood. He doesn't have pupils. He's just got red eyes. He's angry. He's going to eat you. And I thought that their choice of the title also was a spectacular harbinger, The Return of the Vampire, and makes you wonder what's coming next. And we need to remind the listeners, because 1992 was a very different world than 2022. I've been, for the past month or so, I think I've been joking about the Vinnie Vincent Creatures Fest, just giving you little drips of it, because if I got to hear it, you do too. I'm sorry for that, but I'm not going to stop. And I'm not sorry for that. But you couldn't do drips of these things. You would send a press release, and then in 2 months it would be in Metal Hammer magazine, or in 2 months it'd be in Guitar World. It's not like you didn't have Twitter where King Diamond could say, oh, I just had lunch with Michael Sherman, or with Hank Sherman and Michael Denner, because they didn't, they probably didn't even have each other's phone numbers then, honestly. And so when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this Mercyful Fate thing drops called Return, there's a lot of confusion there, and a lot of like, what's all this then? So it's a very cool way of doing it.
It does start the ball rolling and the wheels turning in people's minds.
Because I think that was the entire point of that. And that's the honest to God reason why I wanted to do this album. Because
I forgive you.
I'm sorry you had to listen to side 2. Side 1, though.
Death Kiss is also really bad.
We said that. We said that was the worst one.
I'm going to say it again. It's really terrible.
That's fine. It's the thing about Death Kiss that's worse than Leave My Soul Alone is that it goes on for 2.5 more minutes than Leave My Soul Alone. Leave My Soul Alone is awful, but it's also short.
It's very mercifully, no pun intended, mercifully short.
It had a merciful fate of not being put on any album too. All right, we're gonna ramble and make terrible mercy puns now. So
I guess not. All right.
If you have been listening this whole time, thank you so much. You are princes and princesses among humans. You are the kind of person that I like. So hit thumbs up, hit like, give us a rate, send me an email, get to me on Twitter at Nik, NIK_NO_C, or Captain Keefy at Ghost Cult Mag, or at Ghost Cult Keefy, because he has to be difficult enough too. Yell at us, yell at me specifically, because this is my fault. Take us home, Keefy.
Thank you for listening to the Glacially Musical Podcast. It does not play in Peoria.